Hello and welcome to the Logcast, the weekly show about all things rare, platonic, and more. I am your host, Jeff Perez, and I'm joined as always by Dave and by Clay. How are you fellas doing today?
Doing good.
Well, I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. It's been a while. I feel like I keep missing the Logcast, so thank you guys for being flexible and making it work around my schedule.
Yeah.
We're recording earlier than normal today, or actually on a Friday, so it feels weird.
It's great for me because I'm not like super tired, 7 in the morning.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like exhausted because I've been running all over the place today.
Well, that's how I usually feel Saturday morning.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, we're all here. We made it work, and I'm ready for a good episode. So let's jump right into what we've been playing, what we've been doing this week. We'll start with you, Dave.
Well, I have been playing Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which I mentioned last week, and music is still glorious, still a lot of fun, though the difficulty level is ramping up, and I am concerned that I'm only on the second world. I'm kind of concerned that the final world's going to be completely impossible, but I'm still having a good time with it.
That's good.
And I'm also playing... I finished the DLC for Assassin's Creed Unity, and now I'm just kind of playing that. Apparently, I like it a lot better than when it launched, because now I'm kind of hooked again, and I want to get all the things.
Nice. Interesting. Yeah, I always liked that one. It was buggy, but it was a fun adventure, I thought. So, that's cool. I have not played the DLC.
It's free. You should download it.
I should have it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Anything else you've been playing, Dave?
That's it.
Alrighty, Clay.
And,
no.
A certain mobile game, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, we'll jump into that later. I didn't include it either. Okay, Clay, what have you been playing?
All right. Well, I've also been playing Mario Rabbids and enjoying it quite a bit. I'm with Dave. I've hit the what I believe to be the difficulty spike, and so it's been a little bit slower progressing recently with that, just because it takes a lot more time, but I'm really loving it, and I like that it takes time. I like that I'm not just flying through the whole game, and so highly recommend it. If you have a Switch, you should definitely check it out. Also on the Switch, I just got, I think last night actually, so I haven't got a ton of time into it yet, but Lego Worlds. So I held off getting that on, Xbox or whatever, until it came out on the Switch. So picked that up. It's basically more or less Minecraft, but with Legos, except it's like on steroids, I would say. There's a whole lot more to it, lots of vehicles, and you can edit the world on a grander scale than you can in Minecraft. And there's also no crafting, so I'm enjoying it so far. There's definitely a lot to do, obviously. The controls and the user interface are a little not great, and so it's been frustrating just kind of learning the way everything, but you can do so much. They've jam-packed a lot in, so but it's still really cool, and I'm really excited to put many more hours into it. And then the last game I played this week was Killer Instinct Gold, which I played on the N64. I didn't play the Rare Replay version. And I don't know. I love Killer Instinct. I think it's a really cool series, but I'm just not a big tournament fighter in general. And so after about 15 minutes, it's like pulling hair out for me. I'm just ready to, move on to something different. And so I was capturing at least an hour of footage, and so it was a long hour for me, unfortunately.
Yikes.
To be fair, Killer Instinct Gold is the worst entry in the series. There's zero reason to play it anymore. Not that the original arcade versions on Xbox.
Yeah, I kind of realized that a lot of people don't like Gold, and a lot of people credit it for kind of killing the series off for quite a while. Obviously not anymore, but yeah, so it's hard for me to judge it and compare it against the other ones because I'm just not really a pro when it comes to that stuff. But they took Riptor or whatever out of it, which kind of bummed me out. But he was cool.
He was very sad.
Can I ask you a question about Lego Worlds while we're just quickly discussing these things?
Sure.
You said, okay, couple things. You said there's vehicles. Do you get to build vehicles kind of like nuts and bolts where you can put them together?
No,
And
no.
there's kind of prepackaged vehicles?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
there's like
bummer. I hope they have
yeah,
an update.
yeah. I wonder if that's something they could add, because that would be really cool if you could make big old vehicles like that, and ships, and boats
Yeah,
and
it
things.
seems perfect for it, just very similar to what Nuts and Bolts did so well. The other question is there like a campaign, or is there stories, or is there any?
There is actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
something
also cool.
Minecraft doesn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm playing through that. There's like different missions, and you'll go up to a house, and the house will be half built, and they're like, "Oh, can you make something cool?" And then you
Nice.
just finish off their house, or you paint their house, or you like raise the ground up or down or whatever. And so
Okay.
there's just like a lot of really cool creative things that they can make missions for, and then you just unlock a bunch of things every time, and then you have this like gun machine thing where you can scan everything in the world, and then it saves it to your inventory, and you can like mass create it after you've scanned it.
Oh,
it's
cool.
it's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're
Okay.
a fan
Good
of
deal.
Minecraft and Lego, you should definitely check it out. It's different than anything they've done before, but it feels very similar to the other Lego games, like how it controls and stuff. So
Cool.
yeah, it's sweet.
Alrighty. With that, we'll jump over to what I've been playing, and honestly, not a lot this week. Rocket League, as always. I feel like I'm getting better at it, which is weird because I thought I had kind of plateaued for a while, but I was scoring a lot more points than I normally do. So hopefully it's a good sign. Hopefully I'm not just getting matched with lower quality opponents. I don't know.
I'll be the judge of this.
All right, we'll play.
These
We'll play
claims are
again.
true. Okay.
And then beyond that, the highlight of the episode, I've been playing that a lot, and we'll go into that in depth when we get to the main topic. But with that, I think we can go ahead and jump on into the news for the week. Alrighty, and with that, the news, we'll start off with Rare posting their weekly video. This week it was a Tales from the Tavern podcast. So they talked a lot about community in this one and their interactions with them at Gamescom, and just a little bit about Gamescom in general, talking about their Mixer streams and having the community involved with that. Several of them were insiders, which they kind of, I wouldn't say they laughed at, but they found to be interesting because these people could just go play it at home, but instead they chose to wait 3 or 4 hours in this queue at Gamescom. But they had displays up so people in the queue could watch and stuff like that. It looked like a good time, sounded like a good time. As far as the rest of the podcast, they talked a little bit about the game and the 1 to 2 man ships, the smaller ships, that they've kind of got them into the Unreal version of the game, and that they got those up and running pretty quickly because so much of the groundwork was laid for the bigger ships that the little ones were pretty easy to just get up and running, which is great and hopefully will appear in the alpha soon. And then just a couple other things talking about a new section of the ship, which they didn't go into any detail further than that, except that one of the community members they had met at E3 had some sort of picture or something that he could now show off. I have no idea what they were talking about with that, but a little bit of talk about character customization and setup, and they kind of joked about it being a big leak, but Joe Neat sarcastically said, our game has a front end, ooh, because it's the front menu or whatever, the front end of the system of the game. So, that's pretty much it. There's a few other tidbits from it, but if you want all those, highly recommend go check it out on YouTube or on iTunes, SoundCloud, etc. They've got it posted. It's called Tales from the Tavern from Rare Limited.
Awesome.
So Clay, you want to go ahead and take this next one?
Yeah. If I can pronounce this company right, it's Macon, right? Not
That's it.
Mackin.
Yep, making, like they're making games.
Like they're making games.
All right, well, apologies. Making Games showed off a new custom-built arcade cabinet for Raging Justice, a one-of-a-kind project that hopefully they'll be bringing to EGX. We're not sure, so maybe stay tuned to see. But I always love a nice new custom built arcade cabinet, so I'm always a big fan of these. So it's pretty awesome. Check it out.
The old school look of the game, it looks really nice. Nick Macon posted a little video of it, just like 6-second video of it on, or maybe it was a still image, but it was pretty cool to see it on Twitter. So yeah, Dave, you want to go ahead and take the next topic?
Sure thing. So, Playtonic Games has some new ukulele t-shirts. They're going to be available from Insert Coin. They just call it Insert Coin or Insert Coin Clothing. I'm not sure.
It's just Insert Coin.
Yeah.
Very well known.
It's right on their Twitter page, so you can go get a link there. And they're going to have 3 new designs. One says Pagey Collectors since 2017 ukulele.
Nice.
Picture of them. Then there's Trouser Worldwide International Trading.
Ayo.
And then there's Honey Tower.
Ivory Towers Court.
I'm sorry, Ivory Tower. Why did I say honey? But yeah, so
Same thing.
They look pretty cool. I like the Pagey Collector one the best myself. So I think it looks pretty cool. So
Cool.
if you enjoy the ukulele and the Playtonic games, which you should buy some t-shirts.
10 out of 10.
I've got some Insert Coin. I have a ukulele shirt I think was made by them that I really like. I don't like these though. They look weird.
I haven't looked at them yet, but I'll check them out after this.
Yeah, they're just not my style personally. But hey, it might be somebody else's. So,
Cool.
like Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Is it still your game of the year?
We need answers, dude. The fact that you're hesitating.
I'm trying to think of what has come
I would
out.
say it's fallen from grace.
I don't know. Uncharted Lost Legacy is up there too, so it's hard for me
enough.
to pick between all of them. It's like Zelda, Yuka, and Uncharted are all like vying for my game of the year.
Wow.
I think I'll see how I feel at the actual end of the year before I final about it.
Well, we all can't wait to hear what you decide.
All right.
I know. I didn't know my opinion matters so much to you, Clay.
Oh, it does.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have no idea. To all of us.
Indeed. We care a lot. Anyway, with that, we can kind of jump into our main topic with our last news item here, and that is that FortuneFish, a company founded, I believe, by Joe Stamper, son of, is it Tim? One of the original founders of Rare. Their son Joe has a company, and the Stampers are involved with the company as far as we know, and they have released their first game in like 2 years, and it's kind of just a demo, but that is our spotlight for the week. So with that, we will head into the main topic. Alrighty, so the new game is called Kroko Bongo, Tap to the Beat, or at least that's what it's listed as in the iTunes store. I think it's just Kroko Bongo is the official title on the title screen of the game. So, this kind of came out of nowhere. It released, I think, around August 14th or 15th, and we didn't pick up on it until this week, so... Oops.
Because they literally was not tweeted on any of their social media accounts that we were following.
They created a new account for it, separate from their FortuneFish Limited account. Released it under its own Twitter account, Kroko Bongo Game, and I think it's kind of in interacting with them a little bit on Twitter. It's a little bit of an experiment to see how viral it can go, and also just because it's not a finished product, it is a 5-level demo without really any options or anything. It's very bare bones, but very polished in my opinion. Even though they claim it's rough around the edges, I disagree. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The only thing that seems rough about it is the length and the optimization. As I think we were talking about before the call, that kind of drains your battery and makes your phone pretty hot while it's running. But if you have your phone plugged in, you probably never would even notice. And it would just
you'd notice the heat.
You'd notice
the battery drain.
Yeah,
the battery, I don't think it'll charge while it's playing the game, but it'll stay steady. The graphics of this game, I mean, we'll just kind of jump into that, and I think the reasoning why it gets so hot and drains your battery. The graphics are incredible. They are very... And I couldn't tell you what the resolution of the iPhone is and what they're meeting with this game, but like very high-res textures, The backgrounds are incredible. The character models are great. The animations are great. And it all runs very, very smoothly. So I don't know how you guys want to kind of approach this. We can kind of just talk a little bit about what the game is real quick and the gameplay, and then jump in just through what each level kind of entails. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Yeah, man, that sounds good.
Let's talk about that old Fluff Gator, whatever he is.
Yeah, Fluffigator, I think is what they
Fluffigator.
called him on Twitter.
Oh,
could be wrong.
Slight weird thing though about that is he looks so scaly in game.
He's so like
fluffy.
in the renders of like the promo renders, he's fluffy. He's a fluffy croc with a K, which is a little homage to the Kremlings, I'd say. Granted, these are the I wouldn't say the core team behind that, because this is all new devs as far as I know at FortuneFish, but as far as the Stamper's Legacy, very similar looking to Donkey Kong Country and the Kremlings. So this main character is fluffy in the renders, but he's scaly in the Twitter profile pic and in game. So not sure what they're going for there, if it's gonna get some furry shenanigans added later, a la
My only
Star
thought is
Fox.
that maybe that the fur rendering wasn't ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it could
They
be, and
launched
it could
the
just be a
game, so-
limitation of being on a mobile system. Who knows? If you look at the renders of DK64, DK had fur, whereas in game he was not quite as furry.
See, maybe it's supposed to be a throwback to that, where everything was shiny and weird.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I say a couple things? So basically how we kind of found out about this was I think it was Nintendo Life did a little short article about the game.
Yeah.
And I think I noticed it, I don't know what day it was, this week. I was just scrolling through Facebook and I saw, it mentioned the Stamper Brothers, and I was like, oh, this is weird. Clicked on it, looked into it a little more. I'm like, well, surely it's not in, the iOS store, because we would know about it. And I go there and, yep, there it is. And so I get in the chat and I'm like, Dave, isn't this like a game we should be covering? Like, isn't this in our wheelhouse? Don't we follow FortuneFish? And you're like, yep, I had never heard of this. No idea. Had no idea this was a thing. And so, so from there it kind of...
It was pretty cool, because Dave went and posted it as soon as he saw it to NeoGaf, and Dave's thread has been circulated everywhere. I've seen it all over Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh,
that's awesome.
nice.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, my first thread I posted on NeoGaf, so I was nervous.
Oh,
I searched,
dude.
no one's posted this yet.
Yeah. No, you got
I don't know if you know
linked
about NeoGaf,
by
but
a
it's
lot of people,
super
so.
strict with threads, so...
Way to go, Dave. Way to
Yeah,
save up for your big reveal on that one. No, but I think that article on Nintendo Life probably put some bigger spotlight on them. Because it seemed like that day, maybe it was just on our end, but Twitter was kind of blowing up, and we can talk about their social media here in a little bit. Last thing I wanted to mention before we get more deep into it is I just looked this up on YouTube, and as far as I can tell, there's only 2 videos about this game on there currently.
Yeah, there's a trailer and a let's play.
Yeah, that's literally it. So that just kind of shows you, how little there is here. So.
Yeah. I attempted streaming it on whatever day that was, the next day, I think. But I was screen mirroring through AirPlay or whatever from my iPhone to my PC, and then I had OBS broadcasting it to Mixer. The screen mirroring that I was using just couldn't keep up with the fast moving game, so that's why I didn't post. I would have posted it to our YouTube channel, because I did a full playthrough of all 5 levels, but unfortunately, the video just skips the whole time. The audio is good, but the video just kind of skips through. So,
bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer. But it was a fun test to do, I guess. I need to just see if I can do a hardwired video mirroring, because I was doing it through Wi-Fi, and I think that was part of the issue.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That's probably
So I need to figure out how to get HDMI out or whatever from an iPhone and go from there.
I'm sure there's a dongle for it.
I'm pretty sure the lightning cable will work for that, or maybe you just have to do it on a Mac. I don't know. Regardless, Yeah, we found it on accident through just seeing it on Facebook, it sounds like. And it kind of just blew up in our community and in the Rare fan community in general. And it seemed like they got a lot of new followers that day and that their Twitter account was very, very active and happy with the response.
One interesting thing that I thought about that whole Twitter account thing is it makes me kind of more embarrassed that I missed it, is that when I went to go follow them with follow the account for the game, because the FortuneFish account wasn't tweeting about it, I realized that it had already followed me, and if I had just looked at the pages to my new followers, I probably would have found out about it when it came out.
Yeah, it had already followed me too, I think, or they've got an automated you follow it, it follows you and doesn't give you a notification. I really couldn't figure it out because I went back through my notifications back all the way to August 14th, and they didn't show up as a new follower.
Maybe there's some privacy settings where you don't get notified. Yeah,
I don't know because when I go to tag them too, they don't auto-populate in the tagging. So I'm wondering if there's something like that going on.
When they reply to me on Twitter, because I was talking to the account for a while, I didn't get any notifications.
Yep. Yeah, there must be something. I don't know how.
Okay, yeah. So now I feel less bad because there's literally no way I could have known.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. They followed me back and you back and all that. So they've been very interactive and responsive, which is much appreciated. So that's pretty cool. So as far as gameplay and what this game is, it is a 2D side-scrolling platformer that looks a hell of a lot like Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, honestly. And it plays like, I don't know, it's a rhythm action game. So you tap to the beat to play. It's like a Mario Run or Rayman Jungle Run like that, but you play it by tapping to the beat of the music. And, there's different level variations as far as shown in this demo. Of the 5 levels, 2 of them are minecart based. So rather than jumping and platforming, you're kind of, your cart will you'll either duck within your cart or extend upwards in your cart based on just going through certain checkpoints of the level. I don't know. What do you guys think of the gameplay?
I think it's, I usually not huge on runners, but just the way this one works with the polish and everything and the graphics is so satisfying just to hit those beats. And,
it totally is.
And I swear that's the sound of collecting the notes. Just I'm not sure. It sounds so similar to the bananas in Donkey Kong Country.
It is very.
It has to be intentional, and I don't even care if that is intentional.
I love that it makes
such a satisfying
that
noise.
Sound and its musical notes, which obviously was the main collectible in the Banjo series. So very, very cool.
Yeah.
Although it makes a heck of a lot more sense in this game than it did in Banjo, which, I never questioned it in Banjo, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense except that his name's Banjo. So,
yeah,
but
he plays
that's okay.
banjo, and there's notes.
Totally.
Jigsaw pieces.
And the note doors in the layer, I don't know. It's funny that you don't play a little rhythm game or something. Anyway, now that we're second guessing Banjo-Kazooie's design because of this, Clay, what did you think of the gameplay?
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to say I love it. It reminds me of a game which you guys may or may not be familiar with, called Bit Trip Runner.
Not familiar with that one.
I think I've actually played the first one briefly of that.
I'm trying to. It's like an indie game. It had sequels, and I played the sequel. I haven't played the original. I'm trying to remember what the second one was called, but I played it on the Wii U. But yeah, it's just like a rhythm runner. It's an auto running, auto scroller, whatever you want to call it, and really good music. And so, anyways. So it reminds me a lot of that. It's really uncanny how much it has a Donkey Kong vibe to. There's even a barrel part that I'm just seeing that I didn't know existed. Yeah,
in a couple of the levels, if you do something extra, you'll get some barrels.
Yeah, I have yet to discover that. So
level 4 has got the brambles.
Mm-hmm.
There's brambles. There's a freaking mine. As soon as I saw the minecart level, spoilers, sorry, I was like, all right, okay. Good. They're really, I was like, they're clearly trying to harken back to some of these, nostalgic features or whatever. It's
their DNA. I mean, and the croc with a K, it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just the level names, which we'll get to in just a second, are all I always forget this term where the first letter is the same, but
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Anyway, Google it.
Is it alliteration?
Yes, it's alliteration.
Okay, cool. And then
Thanks.
I think the thing that makes me think of Donkey Kong Country the most is the sound and or animation that the music notes make when you collect them, and they like kind of fly up to the top corner.
Zoom up.
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
totally
Love that.
exactly Donkey Kong. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge auto, runner or whatever you want to call it. I liked Mario Run. I've never played the Rayman one, and then I played that Bit Trip Runner. But other than that, I haven't played a whole lot of these. So at first, I wasn't sure what to think. I was a little skeptical, but the fact that it's mixed with the music and it's kind of a rhythm game at the same time really got me excited pretty quick.
Yeah.
And especially since the music's good, and we'll talk about that later. But I think if the music had just been terrible, I would have been like, I don't know about this. But all of the things just kind of hit together at the same time, and I was like, heck yeah!
It's like the perfect game for me. Like, I love rhythm games. Like, I've gotten to the highest level of Elite Beat Agents, and I played a lot of Rhythm Heaven, although I didn't really beat that one. So I love that. The gameplay is rhythm based, and then just like you were saying, the Donkey Kong callbacks are kind of alluding to.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I almost forget that I'm playing a runner.
Exactly.
It almost kind of reminds me of just like when you try to speed run a Donkey Kong Country level.
You
just get that momentum going, and you get that kind of rhythm of bouncing on the different enemies. It kind of, reminds me of that, except you can't stop. And once you're in a groove, it feels almost just as good as getting in a groove in Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah. And initially I was afraid that there wouldn't be too much replay value, but honestly, trying to get a high score in notes and discovering the things like we were just talking about, the barrels and some of there's a little bit of secrets in how you're going through the course using the alternate paths and stuff like that. And we'll get to them kind of as we go through the levels, just touch on them anyway. There's a lot of replay value, and the more you play it, the more you kind of memorize when to tap and when to not tap, and it's pretty awesome. So with that, you guys kind of want to jump into each level and just kind of discuss what its kind of motif is and etc.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Let's get this party started.
So the first level, it's called Tutorial Trail, and it's to teach you how to play the game. It's not a throwaway though. A little bit slower pace of song, slower BPM, and it has a musical. Crap, I can't think of my musical terminology, but the bars of a musical piece going across.
What is it called?
It feels stupid, but yeah. So it's got kind of like the thing that the notes would appear on, and it kind of gives you an indication of when it wants you to tap, with some vertical lines. And the theme of this one is just your classic jungle, I guess. It's a little less tropical looking, a little more different kind of trees. I don't know. Not quite the Donkey Kong tropical jungle, although it's kind of got the ferns and things like that. And there's some.
Yeah, it's got kind of a bit of sand places and stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, it does have palm trees in the foreground. I was looking at the background, but yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a retro Donkey Kong.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's called a music bar, by the way.
Okay,
right.
So just a music bar.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So one of those goes through the whole length of the level, has vertical lines with notes and arrows showing you kind of what's going to happen when you tap. You'll jump, and when you tap at the right beat and on a certain item, it'll kind of launch you upwards, etc. You collect musical notes and 4 medallions per level. There's a green one, a red one, a yellow one, and a blue one. So yeah. Anything else about this level, guys? It's kind of a pretty basic, straightforward intro tutorial.
Hey Jeff, when do the ads pop up for this game?
That's a good point to bring up. There are no ads, and it doesn't cost you a penny on the iTunes store. We should have said that right off the bat.
Yeah, we did forget, but totally worth
Granted,
it.
it
Completely
is a demo,
free,
but
ad-free experience, which is awesome. Good way to get beta testers, I suppose, if you look at it in that regard.
It's just so refreshing to play something on on mobile without all that crap.
Yeah.
Because it really makes it feel more like a game. That's one of the reasons I hate mobile gaming, because there's just so much of that in there that it stops feeling like iPhone is an appropriate place to play games because of what I expect out of it now.
Yeah. Interesting.
This just sort of completely bucks that trend, and I'm hoping they stick with it. I would be totally willing to like shell them like some money for it if I can get it completely ad free.
Yeah, I mean, if I already think it's a better game than Mario Run, at least based on these 5 levels, just because of the music action. I know that's a bold statement, but
actually.
Mario Run is a pretty safe, just runner game. Does a couple cool things, but this was just blew me away. I would personally be willing to pay the $10 that one asked, and that was a steep price at the time. I don't know if the market will be ready for it or if they'll have enough exposure by the time they do a full launch, but
See, I'd be okay even if they went back to like the old sort of Angry Birds model where you get the ad-supported one and then you pay to have the one without
that would be
ads.
nice too. Yeah.
As long as it ends there,
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that because then people can play the game for free who don't mind ads, and then I can have my pristine ad-free experience and just, it's $10. I don't understand how software on mobile devices has gotten so devalued.
I don't know who screwed that up. Yeah, it's not fair at all
like
to the
everyone
developers.
Expects everything to be free, so no one's willing to pay anything.
Right. Or 99 cents. Like, people will pay 99 cents, but they will not pay more than that. It's weird. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, and that's just us kind of throwing numbers around. We don't know anything about what their plan is, how big of a game it'll be, and if it'll maybe work its way onto, say, the Switch or Xbox or PlayStation, which would be extremely welcome. But we'll see.
Did we also mention this is iPhone only, by the way?
I don't know that we did, but yeah, as of right now, it's iOS only. They said they're exploring Android, but because there's so many, and this is just through a Twitter exchange I saw, but there's so many different Android versions in the wild as far as the OS, and then just different hardware types. They said it was really hard to debug or kind of
no, that makes perfect sense. I hear that all the time from other developers too. It's just kind of the standard reason that things come to iPhone first and work better on iOS.
Yep.
Interesting.
Because they have such limited
it's like developing for a console
models
versus PC. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Whereas Android, it's like, look, we can't. There's like hundreds and hundreds of different devices to test it on. Like,
I mean,
you might test on the most popular ones, and then
a
brand new one comes
Galaxy.
out, and then there's an issue.
Yeah, because their last game called that bouncy thing, I think. I could get it installed on my Android. I had an LG like G5 tablet or something, and it wasn't very fast, and I couldn't get the game to run. It would just crash.
All right.
Unfortunately, so I never got to play it. And then I think they had one that was UK only that had to do with math. It was like Math Cat.
Yeah, Cat Logic.
Cat Logic, yeah.
I never played that one.
Didn't
Both
either.
of them seem to be gone, at least from the North American
Yeah, they're not
store.
listed in the stores anymore. They've been down for like a year.
You can still re-download that bouncy thing if you have purchased it.
Okay.
Quote, purchased it. So I have it in my Android account, but I don't have an Android phone anymore, so I can't play
Interesting.
it.
I should try. I mean, I still have my tablet, so I can try that, but because perhaps they updated it. I did put feedback on it, and they said they would look into it. So, I mean, we'll see. Anyway, back to the game at hand and the current iOS only game. Level 2 is called Jurassic Jungle. And this one visually looks pretty similar to the first one. The difference being kind of the background is not a forest. It's like cliffs, similar to like the ones in Up, like very vertical cliffs. And then there's some like gigantic dinosaur fossils protruding out of the foreground, which is fun and kind of reminds me of Diddy Kong Racing's Dino Domain.
Yeah.
Some palm trees and stuff. Probably similar to that level in Mario Odyssey that has dinosaurs based on the trailer. I don't know. But
sure.
Anyway, this level, I'm trying to remember how the music goes for this one. Do you recall? It's
Yes.
A little faster.
Bum, 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 bum,
Oh man, he's already got it down.
bum, bum, bum. I'm just listening to it and trying to sing
Oh,
along.
perfect.
This is the one where you can you find this like group of drums and you can drum along and stuff.
Yep.
But
Yeah. So if you hit the first drum, a second drum will appear, which will then launch you as kind of like a jump.
right, that was kind of the main mechanic. Is that
Yep.
I was talking about like the big group of drums that you do a little.
Oh,
rhythm game.
sorry. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was out of
Order
order.
with the
But yeah, this one it's like one drum you hit, it makes you do like a flip, and then you hit the other one, and it shoots you up in the air. And so
Yep.
I think this one's got a bit more vertical going on than the first
Mhm,
level.
splitting
different
path.
levels.
Yeah. And I guess the drum mechanic you were referring to is about halfway through where you get
Right.
to play a little mini game. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just.
Do you wanna-
across it.
Explain kind of how that mini game goes and what happens after that.
No.
Okay. Well.
Because I don't know.
Okay, so
Tell
you play
me.
this. You play this mini game when you get to this giant. It's like a group of like 10 drums or something, or maybe 5. But you go into a mini game, zooms in on your character with black background, and you get a. You know what? It looks exactly like Donkey Konga. You get this thing scrolling across the top,
There we go.
where you
Yeah.
tap along with those notes coming right to left. If you hit them all, and maybe if you don't, I don't know, but you get a blue treble clef. All the notes you collect prior to that are gold, and there's single notes and treble clefs, which I think are worth 5. But you get a blue treble clef, and what this does is essentially gives you a double jump until you take damage.
Oh,
And so with
I
this
didn't-
double jump, and also it gives you a different animation. You spin rather than run. You kind of like ballerinas, which is, I don't know. The animations in this game are incredible, but he kind of spins through the level with his arms out, and can do a double jump, and that's how you can kind of get to the more higher zones initially. And then,
dude, this is all just making sense to me all of a sudden. I never realized all this. You're right.
Jeff's like an instant pro at this game.
Oh, I
Clearly.
freaking love it. I played it so much this week. It's embarrassing, but I don't care. I love it. So when you get closer to the end of the level, you can find a barrel, which will then shoot you backwards, almost towards the beginning of the level. And midair, you can do some taps with the music to break some barrels to get extra. I think it's for extra notes, if not for just score multiplier. There's a score multiplier. We didn't even mention that. If you time your taps correctly with barrels or beach balls, things that make you jump, you get it's like ace, and then funky, and then groovy is I think it's a 4x multiplier, maybe it's an 8x. I actually can't tell. I'm so focused on what's ahead I don't actually look. But actually looking at the screenshots at the bottom, there's a 5x multiplier. So I guess groovy is a 5x multiplier, which is
Right.
tracked at the bottom of your screen, each one as you update or upgrade each in a row, similar to Guitar Hero, etc. And then you get like essentially a note multiplier for your score. And that's what I was talking about with the replayability. To get that high score, you got to basically hit every single one of those perfectly to get the optimal multiplier, plus collect all the notes, plus get all the medallions. And we didn't mention at the end of the first one, when you do collect all the medallions, you get a mini game at the end of the level, similar to the one we just talked about, but instead of going right to left, it's kind of bottom to top, and you tap when it's in the circle, kind of like Dance Dance Revolution, but a little different.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
like,
didn't realize what that was at first. I just let them all go past. I was like, oh,
Oh.
oops.
yeah, so those only appear if you collect the medallions in the level. So you want
Right.
to collect all 4 of those.
I love that
There's a lot
part,
in
by
this
the
one.
way.
Yeah.
The end of the level stuff. In fact, when I got done with the game, I told them those need to be longer because I really enjoy
Yeah.
those parts. So
Yeah, Kroko, your character, he does this really funny little dance too in the background of those, and does some like the 60s thing where you plug your nose and do the dive, and
yeah,
it's funny.
Still can't believe that was a dance. Not to get off topic.
That
yeah,
what?
right.
That was a dance? I know. Well, the lawnmower, things like that. The cabbage patch.
So weird.
Anyway, anything else from this level from you guys? I feel like I kind of hogged that one. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, I think you know it better because I literally have only played that level like once through.
Okay.
Because that one was pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the
and
vast
the
majority
game
of my
takes
gameplay
a
has
steep
been on
upward
3, and
curve in the difficulty on the next level.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else on that one, or you guys want to go ahead into the next one?
We can move on.
Okay,
Can
third level is
Vapor
called
Valley.
Coastal Carts, our first minecart level. This is by far my favorite level.
Yeah.
Just I love the music. I love the gameplay of the minecart. And even graphically, this is just a really fascinating looking level.
I think the backgrounds look really good. Especially
Yes. There's like
I want to know how they made that background. If that's a painting or render or what it is. But it looks
the
really
furthest one back, I haven't looked really, really closely at. I think that's pre-rendered, but it's got like a soft blur to it, kind of a depth of field blur, and some really nicely rendered kind of sunset lighting. But there's like a mid background, which is sand dunes, and that is rendered 3D. You can see the peaks of the sand dunes pass in 3D, which is really cool.
It's very cool. It looks way better on a big screen too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
It's some of these details don't come across as well on the phone, I feel like, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to play it on my 55-inch TV and just see it and have it in surround and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a $20
I
app.
imagine I can probably get an adapter for my phone and play it like that.
Probably. I was gonna say there's a $20 app for AirPlay mirroring for the Xbox One, but
Huh.
Oh.
I don't know that you'd want to invest in that because that's pretty steep. But it also
Yeah, so
works as a Chromecast.
If there was a demo, so I could test it to make sure it actually worked, maybe.
Yeah. Well, there is a trial. I tested it. It works.
Okay.
So you could try the trial and see, but you probably run into the same issue I did for Wi-Fi, where it probably won't keep up with the action too well.
Right.
And I mean, I was Wi-Fi on my phone to a hardwired computer that's like literally gigabit connected to my router. So like, and it still couldn't keep up. So I would suggest what you were saying, Dave. Look for an HDMI adapter or something.
Or just really big FortuneFish to make this game for a console.
I really hope they do. I really do.
I think they will.
I do too, and it's getting seems like it's getting a really strong reaction from the fans who have found it. So I hope that turns into sales and turns into a console
I will
release.
pledge you give you money to have this in some form on my TV without having to.
The fact that self-publishing is so easy now on all three consoles, and the fact that this is a Unity game, which they have confirmed on Twitter, makes me think that it should be pretty straightforward for them to get to a console, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you need is one button input. I mean, yeah, it doesn't need to be played with a controller at all, but just the fact that the graphics and music are so good, I think it's begging to be played in a home theater setup.
Yeah, I did play it my first playthrough hooked into my surround system, just through a like a 1/8-inch jack. That
must be awesome.
It was amazing, the bass and everything. Oh. So back to the level at hand once more. We've had some good tangents here. So essentially you get into the cart pretty early on in this level. Like essentially you do 2 jumps and jump into a cart. Kind of not dissimilar to the first Donkey Kong Country, where your first minecart level you kind of run and then jump into the cart through a barrel cannon. So like I said earlier, the gameplay on this one is you either duck or raise your cart, depending on these checkpoints you go through, which are gongs. We didn't mention on any of the earlier levels, there is a checkpoint system. Is it gongs in every level, or is it just kind of in the minecart levels? I'm trying to think.
I think it's every level.
I think it's every level.
Yeah.
So you get essentially 2 tries per checkpoint as it is now. I don't know if there'll be later life collectibles or whatever, but you have these hearts. They allow you to die once, go back to the checkpoint, takes off your heart, and then if you die again, you start over at the beginning. So every gong checkpoint, your mechanic of your cart changes slightly, I think. Or maybe it's when you transfer carts, because you do kind of...
Yeah, because the arrow goes up or down.
Yeah.
That completely threw me off because I wasn't paying attention to that.
Yeah, I think
and I literally thought I had to swipe up or down to make it go a direction.
Gotcha.
I was very confused.
So that's an interesting bit of feedback that you hopefully will submit to them once you beat level 5. Just some sort of indicator as to the mechanics of the cart. I can't remember. Maybe in the tutorial. Well, there's a tutorial before each level, and I'm wondering if it's shown in that. Maybe it's just not.
Yeah, I might have just not paid attention because I was so excited to get into the minecart.
It could be that, yeah. So a purple cart is one that you'll duck in, and then I think a green cart is one that you'll raise up, extend upward.
Right.
And yeah, you don't jump in these mine carts like you say you would in Donkey Kong Country 1. And you don't jump out of them like you would in the second minecart level of Donkey Kong Country 1. But rather you either duck in the cart or extend up.
For the record, it doesn't instruct you on how to maneuver the cart when you first enter the level. It just It
Okay.
puts you in the level, and you just go straight away. Because this
Trial and
let's
error.
play. Yeah, because this let's play I'm watching, it takes this guy like 5 deaths before he figures it out. So
Yeah, it took me a while.
yeah,
And the
it's
timing's-
definitely a trial and error thing for sure. So
Okay. Well, bit of feedback. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of kind of dun 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 where you're hitting in beat with each beat of the song.
right.
It has really cool, as far as the music goes on this one, there's like some trombone slides as you're going down a slope, and just, I don't know, it's a very, very catchy tune.
Mm-hmm. There's lots of these like fingers, like Aztec fingers that are like red hot or
Yeah.
whatever, and so you're
Yes.
going
You're
above and below
ducking.
those.
Yeah.
There's like some Sonic loop-de-loop kind of things where you
Mhm.
go upside down, or like a roller coaster, I guess, more or less. But
Yeah.
so they do some fun stuff with this for sure.
I like the fingers that like flick you forward onto the next
Yeah.
cart. Those are
Mhm.
really cool.
And if you tap there, you actually get an extra groovy or whatever.
Oh, cool.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yep.
Trial and error.
Yep. I played this one the most out of all of them because I was trying to get 5 stars on every level before we did this episode. And this one was the hardest to get 5 stars on. Although I haven't gotten 5 stars on the last 2. So of the first 3, this was pretty difficult. It doesn't have much flexibility. You pretty much have to get every note and every like groovy combo.
Right. Wow.
But yeah, you have to get, I think, 2,300 notes to get a 5 star.
Dang.
Yeah. So without the multiplier, you definitely won't even get close to that.
Yeah.
So not much more I can think of in this level. So we can jump on to the next one, which is another traditional one, but adds a new mechanic, and that is Viper Valley. And similar to Jurassic Jungle, but this one adds vine swinging. Again, another throwback to Donkey Kong.
And brambles.
And the brambles, you were correct. Donkey Kong 2. Donkey Kong Country 2. So this one's in the heart of a jungle. You've got big trees behind you in the background and a giant snake that's kind of strewn throughout the whole level. You'll see him kind of sometimes in the foreground at the top, sometimes in the background. And his rattle kind of starts off the level in rhythm with the music.
So
Did this
cool.
kind of remind you of like a Lost World level from DKC2?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Definitely.
Got the
I could see
spikes.
It's got the wooden spikes.
Yeah,
on the ground
spikes on the
and
ground.
stuff, too. Yeah, to me this was like the Donkey Kong Country 2 level. Like it had like a bunch of kind of motifs.
Yeah,
Brambles.
yeah, it does.
Spikes.
Yep.
Just the general kind of darker look to it.
Yep. This one's also got some of those barrels we were talking about where if you tap the first one in beat, it'll spawn a second one, and then a couple different paths. And then at the very end of this one as well, there's a hidden barrel to get some of the medallions. Yeah, it's a fun level. And I think we talked briefly about the beach balls, but the beach balls are these things that are sticking out of the ground in some sections where if you tap those, you'll jump upwards, kind of like springboard up. So there's several of those in this one.
Right.
And then the vines, you catch and hold in beat with the music. Essentially just hold until your character lets go. I was originally trying to let go and beat with the music, but I kept falling because I'd do it too early. So if you just hold, he'll release when he's supposed to. So that's
Yeah, this
pretty
is
cool.
the level I played the least amount, just because I think I got through it in like 1 or 2 tries. So it was
wasn't
not to rub it in your face,
super hard.
Dave, but
Yeah.
That's all right.
But-
Yeah,
So I need
I'm
to go
trying to
back to
remember.
this one.
The music in this one is a little bit faster, right? Or is it the next one? This the next one. It's
Dave?
pretty fast.
I'm not sure. I actually played this one a lot with the sound off because I was trying to beat it right as we were leading up to recording.
You cannot
I
play
actually
this
did.
game in silent.
Yeah, see, like
I know,
I could play
it's
it
a terrible
blindfolded,
idea,
but I
but
couldn't do
I
it.
wanted to get to the 5th level before we recorded, and I actually successfully beat it with no sound.
Dang, dude. I mean,
Nice.
of course you can, and the visual indicators are
so-
definitely there.
Which is good because now I can at least talk a tiny bit about Coastal Cards, though I have not heard the music to that one at all.
Yeah, that one's a lot faster.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, Viper Valley, I think we've kind of talked that one through. So moving into Maniac Minecarts, the last level in this demo. Second minecart level, and No, I don't think any real new mechanics as far as the minecarts go. It's the same duck or raise thing.
Well, it's got the stoplight things.
Yeah, there's these stoplight things and kind of like interactive environment where you have to hit some go barrels, kind of like
Yes,
Donkey Kong
definitely.
Country.
Yeah.
And or Tropical Freeze does similar things without you having to actually hit barrels, but like the track will kind of be raised, and if you hit the go barrel, the track will lower instantly to where it needs to be, or else you'll just plummet and die if you miss the beat, which is great. There's these little stoplights that you have to either duck under or go over, and they turn green depending on if you're holding down on the screen or not. And there's like a runaway minecart at the end, a really fun little musical bit where it's like bum 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 bum. And you have to kind of hit the beats with that, and your cart will intersect with that one, and I assume it'll crash into it if you miss the jumps. I don't think I've actually missed any of the jumps just because the beat is so easy to get the hang of there. But
Right.
yeah, it could be pretty comical to crash off. Well, maybe not, but run into another runaway minecart.
Yeah.
More like a roller coaster. It's like 5 minecarts long. It's not just an individual minecart that intersects you. So, a little more challenging level than some of the earlier ones, but again, didn't take me super duper long to beat this one. What it did take a while was to get a higher score. If you hit all the barrels and all the taps, you'll miss every single medallion. So you actually have to refrain from hitting some of them, which is
That's
tricky,
so
or
weird.
refrain from
yeah,
jumping.
I noticed that.
So I've gotten to the point where I know where all the medallions are, and there's a couple where you have to hit like 3 of the beats where it's like bum, 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 but then don't hit the last one and you'll drop down. Like I think that's to get the yellow or the blue one. So, and the red one is kind of in the beginning. There's a little hill where you hit the first beat, dodge the second beat, then hit the third and fourth beat. So, mechanics like that, again, add to the longevity, add to the replay value, learning patterns. We're not just tapping to the music. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah,
one
it's
is in a
challenging.
cave. We didn't mention.
That's
It's a
right.
cave motif, and you see like some minecart track just in the background, and some stalactites and stalagmites, and it's
I think visually this is also another one of my favorites.
yeah.
Definitely.
I have a hard time knowing which one I like the best visually. I think it would be between both the minecart levels.
Yeah. I
I
love the hills in the background of the
Yeah.
coastal carts. I just love how they're
so
rendered.
beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, once you beat this level, you're essentially taken to a feedback survey / enter in any suggestions you have. And that's it. There's not really a front end on the game. There's a main menu that has all the courses listed, but there's not like options or settings or anything like that, or even an about or credits. It's just the level select and a little feedback button. So as we mentioned, it's pretty early on in this game's life, so very, very curious to see what else is coming level-wise, release-wise, etc.
Yeah,
So-
fingers crossed. If not console release, then at least a full, game for mobile or whatever would still be pretty great. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious to see what comes in the future. They've hinted at, possibly more composers than the one that's already been working on these. So they've hinted at more to come. So it's going to be exciting to see what's next.
I like how, the fact that they'll openly reply to people asking about consoles and sort of like accept it as legitimate feedback and not be like, oh, sorry, we're a mobile only studio.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, they haven't said yes, but they come across as so open to the idea now, which is not something I really felt before when they were making, Cat Logic and that bouncy thing. You got the impression like, yeah, this is a mobile studio and that's all they're going to do. But
Yeah.
now I get the feeling that, especially with how ambitious this game is, like, I feel like, that they can't just make mobile games with this amount of
This
talent
high
that they
quality
have
of a
to
game,
acquire.
this just screams to be on every system. Like, I hope it's on
Yeah.
PC and all the consoles.
Yeah, no, it's great for mobile too, but
And it
I
is.
think
It's
it'd
a-
be great if
Yeah.
I could have it. So when I'm at work, I can play it on my phone, and then when I go home, I can play it in 4K on my Xbox One X.
Yep. Yeah, no, the Switch is
Blasting
ideally like the best system for this, for that exact reason, in my opinion. But
That's true.
and they can use the touch screen if they want, or use buttons, And then like you were saying, throw it into your dock at home and put it on the big screen. That would be ideal. I still don't have a Switch, and a lot of people maybe still don't, and it would be great to have on any of those other systems. So
I want it on all the consoles. Just do it, please.
It almost would work as a Kinect game, but the Kinect just, I think, has a little bit too much of a delay, so I don't think I'd want that.
And then I want the ukulele Kroko Bongo crossover game.
that would be something crazy to have these two studios essentially reuniting.
That would be awesome.
The students of Stampers with the new students of Stampers, I guess.
Yeah.
That would be cool, but that is just a pipe dream as of anything. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you guys are looking forward to or hoping for with a future release or whatever?
More levels, more platforms.
Yeah. Would love to see
music, lots more music.
Different things, like an airplane level, like in Tropical Freeze where you're kind of like on a rocket barrel, things like that. Some sort of rhythm with that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I want to see some water levels somehow.
Water. Yeah, no, I think they could pull off a lot of different mechanics and in ways you just wouldn't really expect. But yeah, we'll see what they come up with and what they've got in store. Any final thoughts on the game as a whole, or just?
I just would say I highly recommend checking it out. It's totally worth it. Make sure you can play it in a place where you can actually focus on it. It's not a easily casual game that you can play in line when you're waiting at Panda Express. I mean, you can, but it's so, I think it is challenging, and you have to kind of focus on it. And obviously play it where you can listen to it loud, headphones, stereo, or the speakers like full blast. That's all I got. So
totally. Dave?
What he said, if you don't own an iPhone, you clearly need to go to the Apple Store and buy one just for this game.
Or hopefully the latest iPod Touch will work. I don't know if they still make those, but
yeah, no, I'm slightly exaggerating.
Yeah, but no, it's,
if you have access to an Apple device, you absolutely should download
I did play it on my iPad briefly. I have a first gen iPad Air, and it ran a little choppy on there, but still awesome to see it on the bigger screen with a Retina display. So if you have that opportunity, especially if you've got the newest version, I'm sure it'll probably look stellar. So there you have it. And my final thoughts echo these two, and I think I've talked way more than I should have on this episode. So with that, we thank you all for joining us. You can, as always, find Rare and Friends on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course the Logcast on iTunes, Google Play, and several other reputable podcasting sources. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Next week we will maybe be back with ukulele final thoughts. Or maybe not. But no, actually next week is hopefully a very special episode, as it will be our 100th episode, and we're looking to do something special for that, like we did with our 1 year anniversary episode last year. I guess it's also our 2 year anniversary episode next week.
Yeah, I was going to say. That's literally, I think we joked about why we were skipping an episode before. We never actually said that's why we were skipping it, just so our 2 year anniversry could be at 100 episodes.
Yep. So if everything works out, we will have a special episode. If it doesn't, we'll still have a special episode. Maybe not quite as special, but we'll try our darndest. So thanks everybody, and we will catch you next time.